Alright, so we're going to get into this gaming news here. So we're going to talk about the elephant in the room, and that is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild getting critical acclaim across the board. It has a 98 on Metacritic, and a lot of people are giving the game praise, 10 out of 10s, the works. But there are people out there, Nintendo fanboys, that are rubbing this news in people's faces, and I want to say for the record, 100%, this game is still not going to entail me buying a Nintendo Switch. I am not taking back anything I said about the Switch. And the reason why is because I still believe the console in the long run is destined for failure. If it doesn't have any support, if it doesn't have that third party, it's still going to be destined for failure. Now, a lot of people, I made like some post about this on Twitter, and a lot of people, were unfollowing because I was giving my raw opinion as to what I thought about the Switch. It goes without saying that some of these consumers just chill out to some of these companies. Some of these people are the most shallow buyers I have ever seen in my life when it comes to video game consoles, because I can't have a console that doesn't have the initial support of the games that I like to play on it. I just can't do it. The reasoning behind buying a console for me has always been it has to have enough killer apps to justify the cost. If there is a drought of games, if there is no games, if the console itself is too expensive but you can't justify the cost because it doesn't have any content, then it's not a console worth buying. The PlayStation 3 at launch for $600, that was the worst mistake I ever made. Buyer's remorse. Buyer's remorse. Worst mistake I ever made. So, every console that comes out, there's always this bandwagon effect of people saying, well, I'm going to buy this. Everyone should buy it. Here's the reason why. But all the other reasons are terrible. Like, I don't get it. You have to pay to talk to your friends on an app on the Nintendo Switch. You're having features stripped away that's supposed to be there on launch on the Nintendo Switch, but they aren't. You only have one good game out of a launch lineup that is pretty much shovelware, and you're going to tell me that the Nintendo Switch is going to be awesome on one killer app alone. Now, granted, there are consoles out there, like the PS4, that had a bad launch. But look at the PS4 now. It has riveting exclusives. If the PS4 was not great, then it would have lost immediately to other platforms and systems. It wouldn't even be a thing. But Sony buckled down, they learned their mistakes, and they went out there and they bought some riveting exclusives. They went out there and they produced some riveting titles. You got Bloodborne, Uncharted 4, all this shit. And the fall lineup for Nintendo isn't even that interesting. While I think that is great that Nintendo does have good first-party games, some of them just don't appeal. Nintendo always had that brand of being this console that appealed to kids, being this console that made only certain types of exclusives to get you enticed. But when it comes to breaking the boundaries on tech, when it comes to having a lot of support elsewhere and being the console to go to for third party and first party, when it comes to an isolation of gimmicks that people might not be interested in, the Nintendo consoles, so far in my opinion, haven't been the consoles to go to supplement my needs of the hardcore. I am sorry for people who disagree, and that's fine. People can disagree with me all they want. I'm not buying a Switch, okay? It's set in stone. I've made my mind up. I don't have to buy everything under the sun just to appease some demographic, because the only thing that I buy with my money and the only thing that I use with that money to appease is myself. And if I'm not appeased, if something comes out and I don't like it, I'm going to say so, and then I'm not going to pick the item up, because that's how I feel. So, I respect other people out there who are enjoying the game, saying that, they're having fun, they're having a good time. Those are happy consumers, but I'm not invested into getting this thing at all. Bottom line, I'm not taking anything back. Just letting you know, bottom line. So we're going to move on to this other gaming news that we have for tonight. So Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor was announced, and well, it was leaked. I shouldn't say announced, air quotes, but it was leaked out to us by, I think, a Target website, and people caught on. People saw the box art. I think we knew for a while now we were getting a Shadow of Mordor sequel, because it was leaked even well before that. So, Middle-earth Shadow of War, what do I think of it? Well, they're showing gameplay on March the 8th, so I'm going to be pretty excited to see what sort of refinements they do to Shadow of Mordor, because I want to see how the new Nemesis system works, where if you get killed by like a random grunt, he basically becomes stronger in a hierarchy of people you can hunt down and kill, which is an interesting system, because, those enemies who kill you become stronger, and, you fight them in such an aggressive manner in this game that it's going to be pretty interesting to see, because I loved how Shadow of Mordor worked. I love how the controls were. I loved how it was just this aesthetic of borrowing from other games like Batman Arkham and Assassin's Creed and making them into something completely fun and refreshing to play. So I cannot wait until Shadow of War. I definitely am not a fan of the microtransactions, DLC, all the stuff they have for it, because this is what they did with the original Shadow of Mordor. They had a lot of DLC. And in my opinion, I think that, for people that are smart and rational, wait for the Game of the Year edition. Always wait, because you get all that content in one package. You don't have to buy the game at launch at all. You can just wait for a price drop, and then when the Game of the Year edition comes out, all the content will be included. It will be cheap, and you'll be able to play the full experience. Since we're talking about Shadow of War, I'm gonna see what they have in this collector's edition. I'm gonna butcher this, but it's called the Mithril edition. The Mithril edition. I know I butchered that, but yeah. So it's limited, and you get basically a 12-inch statue, which looks kind of cool. It's like a giant dragon fighting another dragon or something. I have no idea, but it looks pretty cool. You get stickers, exclusive lithographs. You get a map of Mordor. What else you get? You get the collector's box. You get what is that right there? I have to zoom in. Hold on, just give me a second, because the text is so small. So you get a gold edition exclusive steel case. You get a collector's box. Okay, awesome. You get the official game soundtrack. You get a premium case with a magnetic ring of power. And you get a lot of DLC content. I'm gonna zoom in again. The DLC that the gold edition includes is the game. You get the Slaughter Tribe Nemesis expansion, Outlaw Tribe missions. You get the Blade of I Can't See Shit. The Blade of I Can't See Shit, because the image is so small. It looks like it says the Blade of Galadriel. These are some weird terms. I don't know how to say them, so I apologize. Desolation of Mordor story expansion, and you get a Gold War chest. You get all that for $300. So that is good for collectors, enthusiasts of getting a lot of different shit, and you have disposable income. But for me personally, it's $300 for all this stuff. I just want the game. I'm a simple man. I'm a very simple man. I want to play the game, and I don't want to have to worry about all this other stuff. I'm sure the expansions about the missions are definitely going to be like extra story missions. So it's WB, of course. So you're going to be, I guess I would say, like I said before, just wait, because some of this stuff, you're being taken for a ride if you don't get the Game of the Year edition and you really want that story content and you just go out and you get this instead. I will say this stuff is only for the die-hard collectors who really love this stuff, but for me personally, I can wait, or I can buy the regular game, no problem. Alright, so now we're going to move on to some Nier Automata news. Now, apparently, a lot of people got upset because they were supposedly referencing the Nintendo 64 because there's an item in Nier Automata that's called the Nin 64, and you can find this item in the dumpster. So a lot of gamers got pretty upset, thinking that Platinum was referencing the Nintendo 64 being a garbage item. I just don't get it. It's a reference that doesn't hurt anybody's feelings. It doesn't take away the fact that you love the Nintendo 64 if it's true. It's really not a big deal at all. It's not a big deal, and it's something not worth getting upset, stressed out, angered over, because it's just a reference in a game. Every game has a reference to something. You know? I mean, were people getting fucking upset when there was like PlayStation 3s that you could find in The Last of Us? Of course not. And I know it all depends on context, because it's like, well, we think they're saying the Nintendo 64 is a garbage console. Platinum never really rubbed it in your face. They never really made it explicit. It's not a big deal. You want to know what's really insulting? Playing a game like Devil May Cry, the reboot, and having the developers literally spit in your face and accept what they're doing to you with the references in that game. Because, you know, not in a million years, but people still liked that game. When the developers took a giant piss on everything you loved about Devil May Cry. That's more of an insult than this. I can tell you, that's more of something that you shouldn't tolerate, as opposed to finding a random item that says N64 in the dumpster. We're now going to get into the topic of this news of Nier Automata. Basically, you can now also buy trophies within the game. You can buy trophies and achievements after your third playthrough, and people were also grilling Platinum Games about this. But if you think about this logically, we've had people before that we talked about in the past that offers a lucrative business when it comes to paying for Platinums. So something like this being actually in a video game really doesn't surprise me at all. I'm going to be truthful. It's not really a big deal as you make it out to be, considering the fact that this seems rather optional. You know, it's like there's two sides to the story. There's one where I feel you shouldn't be able to have this happen as a standard in the future. You shouldn't be able to just buy stuff like the Platinum Trophy. Not saying if you can really buy the Platinum Trophy or not, because I can't verify that information right now, if you can just jump right in and buy the Platinum Trophy after your third playthrough on Nier Automata. But I do feel that's kind of scrubby, and I hope it doesn't become the standard. But at the same time, Yoko Taro is a fucking troll. So that's why I don't take it super seriously, because he's a troll, and this doesn't apply to the hardcore. You guys that are bashing this, you're going to play the game and not even invest into this feature anyway. if your sense of accomplishment is not really diminished, if you can just play the game straight up and get the trophies and the platinums all by yourself, no problem, then I don't see too much of an issue here. I think that it's pretty much tongue-in-cheek, self-referential. He's showing that a lot of people, they do take trophies seriously, and he's just probably taking a jab at it. A lot of people, they go out there and they pay good money sometimes to really have people grind to get trophies for them. So I think this is just an overglorified joke, to be honest. And it's pretty, if it is, it's pretty hilarious and comedic, and it's funny as fuck. For the last bit of news, PlayStation Now just got utterly destroyed, annihilated, dominated by the Xbox Game Pass. Now, just to give some history, I thought PlayStation Now was less than stellar. It was disappointing. It was overpriced, laggy games on it that really didn't work too well. It felt like remote play in some shape or form because of the visuals, and I really didn't like it. But now we have the Xbox Game Pass, and Microsoft actually got a win over Sony in that regard, because this service sounds pretty fantastic. They're doing something that Sony hasn't, and that was downloading games to your machine so you could play it locally. Sony doesn't do that. You have to stream all your games on PlayStation Now, and this is a huge plus for Microsoft, in my opinion. I think that it has some pros and cons. $9.99 per month, that's a great price. That price is immaculate. It's perfect. The fact that you could download as opposed to streaming, good. And the fact that you have access to a big library of Xbox One and Xbox 360 games. The only thing I don't like about the Game Pass is the fact that it wasn't really elaborated on if it's coming to Windows 10 or not. And that's a huge disappointment. I think that if they put that to Windows 10 and included some sort of crossplay, it would be over. It would be just a wrap at that point. So, even though there's no information if this is coming to Windows 10 or not, this is still a great idea and a great move by Microsoft to capitalize on what Sony is doing wrong with PlayStation Now. And I think that PlayStation Now is only for people who really didn't experience the PS3 era back then. They haven't put PS1 games like they claimed. They haven't put PS2 games like they claimed on it. So it is a huge detriment to Sony now that Microsoft is stepping up and taking the reins. So now they need to step up their A game on PlayStation Now. And that's how I feel about it. That price is just super good. $10 a month. That's really good. Really good, really cheap, really affordable. That's how it should be. But like I said, man, Sony definitely got to step up your game there for sure. And I'm looking forward to seeing how the Xbox Game Pass turns out. So I think that's going to be it for gaming news. I mean, there's a bit of breaking news, and apparently that's the fact that the Guardians of the Galaxy director James Gunn was going to do a Hitman movie at one point, but they didn't do it because they wanted it to be PG-13, and that's the problem with video game movies, which definitely there's going to be a podcast on that in the future. It's just kind of funny that live action video game movies has the potential to be good, but they aren't good because of so many creative differences and so many compromises in vision and so many uninspired attempts just to cash in. It's a fucking shame. It's a fucking shame there's not really good live action video game movies, because there's so much potential to be had. There's so much that could be done. I mean, for fuck's sake, James Gunn directed Guardians of the Galaxy, a critically acclaimed movie. In return, what do we get? We get Hitman Agent 47. A complete waste of time that was screenplayed by Skip Woods, the guy who wrote X-Men Origins Wolverine. Like, how? How do you compensate James Gunn for Skip Woods for Hitman Agent 47? How? Why? How does that happen? It makes no sense. It makes no sense why there's so many bad adaptations. If you want to do it right, if live action is way too much, make a CGI movie. Work with the companies, make it in-house. I am pleading all these developers out there, if you want to make a video game movie, CGI is the way to go because you can do so many things that people can't. I mean, if you want to get technical, a lot of these video game companies and developers, they pour in good money to make CGI trailers. So why would it be hard to make a CGI movie? Stop lending out your IPs to directors who know fuck all. I really hate that shit, but we're going to talk about that in a podcast in the future that's going to be uploaded to this channel. So I am Renegade Operative. I'm probably going to turn this gaming news video into a one-man podcast because it went on for about 20 minutes now. So this is going to be a podcast on the news that happened this week in gaming and last week too, because I just did this video late. I did it late. There's no other excuse. But you know, at least it's coming to you guys, so that is a good thing. So this is going to be like a one-man podcast. So you can find me on Twitter at RenOperative_. You can find me on YouTube at Renegade Operative right here on this channel. You can find me on Twitch at Ren blah 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 blah. Okay, so I had a bit of a brain fart there. You can find me on Twitch at Renegade_Operative. Keep in mind that I'm locked out of my Twitch, so you might be able to find me on my dummy account at RenOperative2. What happened was there's a two-step verification process and my phone is not on, so I cannot receive a verification code anywhere. Thanks, Twitch. Thanks a lot, because that feature is just fucking useless. And I wanted to make a community based on the fact that a lot of people, you know, go over and stream, and a lot of people are in the TCP that are streamers. So I wanted to make a Twitch community, but you need two-step verification, and this happened. So I'm going to be streaming more on YouTube on this channel, so just come check it out. When I get my Elgato HD 60S, I'm going to be streaming more Horizon Zero Dawn on this channel next week, so I'm looking forward to it. But I'm going to sign out. Hopefully you guys enjoyed all this gaming news that I talked about. I know it was a lot, 20 minutes long, so I'm going to wrap up, shut the fuck up, get out of here, and play some games. I will see you guys next time. Later. Oh shit, and Donnie Yen's going to be in the Sleeping Dogs movie. Wei Shin, motherfucker. Wei Shin. Woo! Speaking of which, like I said, I'm going to do that Sleeping Dogs playthrough this year. I promise. I fucking promise you. If you haven't bought Sleeping Dogs yet, I highly recommend it. Wei Shin. Wei Shin. Wei Shin. See you guys later, though.